Most listings don't fail dramatically, they drift. And that drift almost always begins in the first 14 days. If you're thinking about selling, understanding what happens in those first 2 weeks matters more than almost anything that comes after. Because once the market forms an opinion, changing it becomes exponentially harder. In today's environment, buyers move quickly in one sense and slowly in another. They move quickly in forming impressions, and they move slowly in making commitments. And that combination is what makes the first 14 days absolutely critical. When a new listing hits the market, there is a natural spike in visibility. Buyers who've been watching closely see it immediately. Agents with active clients see it immediately. It lands in saved searches. It lands in inbox alerts. It lands into comparison sets that buyers have already built in their heads. That moment right there is your maximum exposure window. Not maximum offers, but maximum attention. And attention fades quickly. The first 14 days tell you one thing above all else: how the market is categorizing your home. Now here's what a healthy first 14 days typically looks like. Week 1, concentrated showing activity. Not chaos, not 20 showings necessarily, but steady interest. You start receiving feedback that's specific. Buyers say things like, "We love the layout, but we're unsure about the backyard size." Or, "The kitchen works for us, but we're comparing it to one with a more updated finish." Specific feedback means engagement, even if it's critical, even if it's hesitant. Specific means they're seriously evaluating, and that is a good sign. By week 2, one of 3 things usually happens in a strong launch. You receive a serious offer, or you receive meaningful second showings, or you receive very clear pricing feedback that allows you to adjust confidently. What you don't want is vague neutrality. Here's what an unhealthy first 14 days looks like. Showings are scattered. Feedback sounds polite but non-committal. "Nice home, shows well, we're still looking." No one circles back. No one asks follow-up questions. No one pressures the timeline. On paper, it may look active, but there's no momentum. That's when you're losing the comparison quietly. I've seen listings where there were 8 showings in week 1 and not a single second visit. That sounds busy, but it's actually a red flag, because serious buyers almost always come back if something felt close. When they don't, it means they've ranked you and you didn't land near the top. Now here's the critical part most sellers underestimate. Buyers don't just evaluate homes, they categorize them within days. Your home becomes strong contender, maybe, too much for what it is, not worth a second look. And once that categorization happens, it's very difficult to undo. Even if you reduce the price later, even if you improve the staging, even if you change agents, the first impression anchors perception. Now, are there exceptions? Of course. Ultra unique properties, luxury segments with thin inventory, situations where the seller genuinely doesn't care about timing, but most homeowners are not in those categories. Most sellers benefit from launching with alignment. And alignment means positioning clearly, presenting cleanly, and pricing with intention. The first 14 days are not about luck, they're about clarity. When a listing launches aligned, you feel it. There's energy, there's specificity, there's pressure. When it launches misaligned, you feel that too. But sellers often misinterpret that early misalignment as patience. They say, "Let's just give it time." Time rarely fixes positioning. Time rarely fixes buyer comparison. Time mostly amplifies whatever perception already exists. And here's something else important. The buyers who act in the first 14 days are usually the most serious. They've been watching, they've been waiting, and they are ready. If your home misses them, the next wave is less motivated. They're more cautious and they're more comparison driven. And most importantly, they're more price sensitive. This is why "we'll just see what happens" is rarely a strategy. Because by the time you see what happened, your strongest leverage window has passed. The smarter approach is to stimulate those first 14 days before they happen. Ask, what could buyers compare this against? Where would it likely rank? Would it feel compelling or merely reasonable? Would the price posture signal confidence or hesitation? If you're thinking about selling and want to understand how your home would likely perform in those first 14 days before you're living through them, that's exactly what I break down in a Strategic Listing Readiness review. It's not a price quote and it's not a listing presentation. It's a private strategic conversation about how buyers would likely evaluate your home, where momentum would build, and where it might quietly stall. Details are in the description. In this market, outcomes aren't accidental. They're sharpened by decisions made before the listing ever goes live. In the next video, I'll break down why testing the market feels cautious, but also costs sellers more than they expect.